Today I'm going to take you through the process of how I make sourdough. There's a million different ways to make sourdough, and I feel like the internet sometimes makes it way too hard. But what we have to remember, see those blends? But what we have to remember is that they used to make this bread on the Oregon Trail. So like, if you're not going to win awards for your bread, it doesn't have to be perfect, you know? Like if you're just making the bread to eat, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it will taste amazing. So we're gonna start this. So it is about 8 o'clock in the morning here. Angry face. And we want to bake our bread tomorrow morning. So the first thing I need to do is feed my starter. This is already an established starter. It's already done through the process. It is good. I've had this starter for over a year now. This is what I keep her in. Sometimes I keep her on the counter. Like if I'm gonna bake with her often, I keep her on the counter, feed her every day to every other day. Sometimes like in the summer when I was super busy with the garden, I left her in the fridge most of the summer and she was just fine. So this is what I keep my discard in. It's kind of gross. I need to wash it. But that's not a project for today. Now, you don't need to keep such a big discard group, pile, jar, but I do because we have pizza night once a week. It's chaotic here, which is just our life, right? We have pizza night every week, and I use my discard as my pizza crust. Literally don't do anything. That will be another day. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Maybe I'll show you how I make pizza tomorrow. Super easy. Anyways, that is another day. So you don't need this big of jar of a discard. I just do because I like it. Okay, so first things first. You're okay, Gracelyn.
You do not need any glass. The dog is getting in the way.
The dog is in your way.
Just ignore this part of the video.
Apparently, just ignore this part of the video. Okay, so I write on the bottom, I keep my starter in this jar. If I need to clean this jar, I just take it all out, wash it, and then put some back in here. So I already weighed out my jar, 223, and I just keep it on there. So we're gonna do, so I tarred my scale, right? So this whole jar and the starter is 476. So I'm just gonna take it out until I have about 50 left of my starter. Now, the dog is in her space. Now,
Just ignore that yelling part of this video, please.
all discard is unfed starter. So if you had this out, something happened to it, you accidentally broke the jar, whatever, it's not a big deal. Just take some of your discard out, let it warm up a little bit, and then feed it, and you have a starter. That seems to confuse some people. It's literally discard. It's not actually discard. You don't throw it away. Don't throw it away once it's established. It's good stuff. You can make a million things with it. Okay. Sorry. So I stirred her up.
It's bad stuff if you leave it outside for a while and the dogs poop on it.
This is chaotic. Okay, Grace, I will get your music box in just a minute, okay? Hey, Preston, what's 223 plus 50?
220.
What's 20 plus 50?
What?
Preston, what's 20 plus 50? Okay. Okay, so I have about 50 of my starter in here. Now, all I'm gonna do is add 50 of flour. Tear, whatever you call it. I don't care what you call it. Whew, that's not my flour. That was 50. Ooh, dripping. About 50, not a big deal. And then you just put, I don't measure my water. Maybe I should. I don't know. I don't. Because again, they used to do this in a wagon. We can do it in a fully furnished kitchen. So I just keep adding water a little bit at a time until I have a nice, thick, almost pancake batter-like texture. And if you get it too thin, just add more flour. Again, it doesn't have to be a perfect science. I promise it will be okay. Okay. See, my thick pancake, it's not perfect, doesn't have to be, okay? So, now, again, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, the day before I want to eat my bread, okay? So now we're just gonna cover this, sit it on the counter. Depends on your house. Sometimes when it's really cold in my house, because I have an old house with old windows, I have to put it in the oven with the light on. Don't turn any heat on, just the light on, it's enough heat. Sometimes I can leave it on the counter, like in the summertime. It doesn't take very long to brain short it out. It doesn't take very long to get active. I usually will come back in a couple hours, check on it. You want to see it about double in size and have a nice oval dome on it. But again, it doesn't have to be perfect. The internet makes it way too hard. It will be okay. Okay, I'll come back when this is done. Hey guys, if I'm being honest, so I fed, in the video it looks like I just fed my starter, but in real life I fed my starter 2 days ago with full intentions of baking the bread last night. And life got away from me. So this morning, before we went out and did anything, I fed her again. And so now we're gonna bake bread. It's chaotic. We have one over here doing school and one over here listening to a Tony box. It's fine. It is gonna get chaotic. It's fine. But this is super easy. And again, it doesn't matter. So do you see how bubbly and perfect she is? Ah! Maybe I should pick you up and not this. Okay, she's bubbly, she's perfect, she's happy. That's how I know she's ready to go, okay? You can draw. There's a marker right beside you. Sorry. So, I have my big bowl. I have my mixer. Or not my mixer, my scale. That's what that's called. And I just tarred it, right? Zeroed it out, whatever, with my big bowl on. So now I don't even have to measure everything, I just weigh it. So we're gonna start with 50 grams of our starter. Okay. Okay. You have options. Okay. So you can refeed this if you're going to bake again in the next couple days. You can just put it straight in the fridge from here. Or if you're like me, mine still is very active, so I'm just gonna let her sit for a while. She's fine. So I'll probably just let her sit on the counter and then honestly probably feed her tomorrow. I'm gonna set her out of the way. She's not needed anymore. And then I'll probably feed her tomorrow when she's fully fallen, but she's still active and super bubbly, so I'm just gonna leave her. So I have about 50 grams in here. So right now it's 12:30, but typically what I do is I make my bread at 7 o'clock at night. So I usually feed my starter closer to noon, 1 o'clock, depending on my weather, but I just wanted to get this done. So this is what we're gonna do. So it's not a big deal. Again, it's not a science. What kind of is a science? But it's not complicated. So instead of just doing my normal thing, I'm just gonna set her in the fridge for a couple hours. Perfectly fine. Okay, back to this. So we got 50 grams of starter, and then we're going to put in, tar this out, equal it out, don't forget that. We're gonna put in 330 grams of water. And this is, like, if your starter is super loose and watery, you may have to use a little more flour. Water, this is water. If your starter is super dry, you may have to use a little more. Did I say that backwards? It's not important. You know what I'm trying to say. 330. And this is just room temperature water. It's not hot, not cold, room temperature. So I have this little whisk that Alex got me for my birthday, Christmas, just because he loves me. I'm really not sure. I love it though, but it's not mandatory. You don't have to use it. You can use a fork or a spoon. I just really, ooh. I sprayed some at you, I'm sorry. I just really like this thing. So just give it a little whisk till it kind of looks like milky water. Why did I make that face?
Mama,
Yeah.
come on, music.
Go get it.
It's not working.
Equal your thing out again.
It's not working.
Now we're gonna get some salt. Fine salt. It's better. This thing says sea salt, but
Don't
my
move my music.
my only salt. My
Please.
stop. It's fun. Our only sea salt is coarse salt, so I just use fine salt. Anyways, we're gonna do 9 grams of salt.
Mama,
It feels like a lot, but it's not. It feels like a lot, but it doesn't taste like a lot. Hey, don't draw on that, ma'am. Don't draw on that. You draw on your whiteboard only. Oh my god. Okay. We have our 9 grams of salt. Now we are going to do 500 grams of flour. Straight in here.
Did the water question up? It was too
2 on? What does that mean?
on.
Mmm.
It's too on. Cousin, you're not. You're not nice.
Guys. Hey. Does everybody's kids fight like this? Guys.
That's not funny.
Hey, don't make me stop my video.
Don't take my music.
I'll be back. Hey, my kids aren't fighting. It's fine. Okay, so we have our 500 grams of flour. So it's just 500 grams of flour, or 50 grams of starter, 330 grams of water, 9 grams of salt, 500 grams of flour. I use unbleached flour because I use unbleached flour on everything, and sourdough is supposed to work better with non-bleached flour. I don't know if that's true. I need to take my ring off.
Put it on your elephant.
I know. Preston got, or no, I got this cute little elephant that holds my ring when I'm baking. I love it. Okay, back to our whisk. We're just gonna whisk up a little bit till it starts to come together.
And that's okay?
Yep, that's great.
Don't take that.
This is fun. Thanks for being with me. So then we just kind of knead it together, right? We're just gonna knead.
That's my music.
It's gonna be a little shaggy. That's okay. Preston, why don't you do your schoolwork like you're supposed to be? Thank you. Okay. So now it's a little bit shaggy. We're just gonna kind of leave this here. Actually, I want more flour. Not much, just a little. That was a little more than I intended. Okay, it's just like a real shaggy dough. Do you see this? Sticky, shaggy mess. Okay, so now you're just gonna take as much off as you can. I don't know if I've said this in this video. You're supposed to try really hard not to put sourdough down your drain as much as possible. Apparently it creates like a concrete inside your drain. I have not caused any issues with my drain.
In any drain?
Any drain, that's correct. Okay, I need to stop playing.
You haven't put it in a shower drain or bath drain?
No, I don't put it in the shower or the bath drain either. Now you just cover this with plastic or like a tea towel. Tea towel? That's the word. I'll go get a tea towel.
What if, like, bad path? What if you put it down a drain,
Tea towel.
but it
Cover it.
blocks bad paths?
And then you just leave it for 30
So it
minutes.
doesn't go
I'll meet
through
you
the
back here in
bad
30
path.
minutes. Okay, it's been 30 minutes. Our dough has been resting. Our little elephant's still doing his job. If it's a little longer than 30 minutes, that's okay too. It's really okay. So now we have our dough, right? It still looks pretty shaggy. So now we're gonna work it into a ball. So to do that, you take a corner with your fingertips and just kind of push it down in the middle. And you keep working all the way around your dough, all the way around in a circle until it kind of gets really tight. You just take up a little piece, push it into the middle, all the way around. You can feel it just tightening up in your hands, and the dough gets a little bit smoother. I just do this a couple times around until it's really tight, and I'm having to really work to get my fingers into the middle. Okay, so now we're just gonna cover this back up and let it sit for another about 30 minutes, okay? Same thing, towel, let it sit for 30 minutes. See you soon. Okay, it's been another 30 minutes since we did that little push down thing. So now we're gonna do stretch and folds. It's easier to get your hands a little bit damp, not soaking wet, just a little bit damp. Okay, how are we gonna do this? Can you see? Okay, so we're gonna just take some up. You can do it several different ways. I do it both ways. Sometimes I just pull and fold it in half. Pull it, fold it in half. I do this a couple times. You're just making the gluten so you get the nice texture of sourdough bread. Or the other way is you can just like do this, I think, and fold it in half. I don't know, I just find it easier to pull. You go all the way around. I went a couple times, it's fine, okay? And then I just kind of fold it back up into the ball and just let her rest again. See how she's just sitting there? Now you're gonna just let her take a nap on your counter for another hour. I'll see you in an hour. Okay, so we've been resting for an hour. So now, I'm gonna get my fingers wet again. Remember, not damp, just wet. And now we're just gonna do another stretch and fold. Again, you can do it however you want. It doesn't really matter. As long as you are stretching it out and folding it. Stretching and folding. Again, it doesn't have to be as difficult as the internet makes it out to be. I don't know why. I don't know why the internet makes it so hard. Okay, so now we have some options. Typically, if it was a typical way that I would make it, it would be 9 o'clock at night, and I would just leave this on my counter all night, and I would go to bed, and I would take care of it in the morning. But it's not 9 o'clock at night. I wish I could go to bed, but I cannot. It's 2:45. So I'm gonna put this in the fridge till about 7 o'clock tonight, and then I will take it out and leave it on my counter all night long. And then tomorrow morning, we'll meet back here, and I'll show you how to shape it. What is up? It is morning. Why am I talking with that accent? Doesn't matter. Our bread has set. Dough on the side. Oh my gosh. This is how you know it's morning. It's about 6:45 here. My little trusty elephant is holding my ring. Alright, so I have just a little bit of flour down, and we're just gonna do our first shape. So you just kind of. Hi, Alex.
Can I do fruit lunch cereal?
Just walk right through the back of it. It's fine.
I couldn't find my pen at the end of today.
Okay, so we have our dough. We're just gonna kind of put it into a square. The dogs are running too fast. It doesn't have to be a perfect square. You don't want it super flat. Okay. And sometimes, if it's kind of dry in the house, it gets this kind of crust on the top. It's fine. Doesn't really matter. I've baked with it. Doesn't matter. I just put the crust, that crusty part, on the inside, like on the top of right now. Stop yawning. Now, if you wanted to add anything to your bread, this is when I would do it. I've done like garlic, roasted garlic. I've done like cheese and jalapeno. I've tried cinnamon and stuff. We're having meltdown over breakfast over here. I've tried cinnamon, but I don't get the cinnamon right. I'll try it again at some point, but right now I'm just doing regular bread. So you're just gonna fold it in like this and just kind of roll. And I just keep kind of folding and rolling as I go. Fold and roll. Fold and roll. All the way to the end. And it should be in a tight little shape, ball, circle. Oh, mine ripped on the top. It's okay. I just rolled extra tight this time. Not a big deal. Keep rolling, keep rolling, keep rolling. Okay. So it should look like this. Okay? I kind of pinch off the bottom. Hi, Alex.
Hello.
Now I do this little circle and I pull it in tight. Circle, pull in tight. And if you get a bubble in it, then I just pop the bubble. You just go all the way around. Keep rolling it until you feel like you're nice and tight. See, I have a little bubble. I just pop it. Otherwise, you'll get like a hole in your bread, which isn't a bad deal, but I just pop it. Okay, now she's the tight little circle, and I take the towel I had on top, I put it in the bottom, but just like the corner of it. And then I just very lightly sprinkle the bottom. Okay, now you're gonna put your bread, you're gonna slide your hand under like this, and you flip it over. So the pretty side should be down and the weird side up. And then you let it sit for 30 minutes. I'll see you back in 30 minutes. The boys are struggling to figure out how to get into this new science program we're doing. But it's been 30 minutes. So now we're gonna take our bread back out, put the ugly side down, boop, and we're just gonna do that whole thing again with the tight circles. If there's a bubble, I try to pop the bubble.
You gotta pop all of the bubbles. Level up.
Like Preston said, you have to pop all of the bubbles. There's a bubble. Okay. Okay. And then you scoop it back up. You go ugly side up. Nobody wants an ugly side to the bread. Okay? And then we let it set for another 30 minutes. Okay, while you're letting, I'm whispering because Preston's doing science. And he's already yelled at me that I was too loud. Okay, while you're doing your last rise, that last 30 minutes there, you're gonna preheat your cast iron skillet with your lid at 450 degrees. Okay, I'll come back when we're done with our 30 minutes. We're back. Oven is hot. It's been 30 minutes. Now, okay, if you see those fancy things, like the fancy designs that are everywhere, put it in the fridge for a little bit, or the freezer for a little bit, and make your dough hard before you do. I, however, am a busy mom who doesn't care. So, I take my little slicer. It doesn't have to be this. It can be a sharp knife. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just making a little ear. So all I do is make like a shape. What is that, a backwards C? Just to give it a little bit of an ear. Now, here's the trick. If you want an even bigger ear, after you've put it in the oven, with the lid on for 20 minutes, take the lid off, go back and slice it again. I don't care that much, so I don't do that. It's Dad's day home, so we're a little crazy here. Okay, so now, before we take this out, we're gonna reduce our heat to 425. Okay. Then you're gonna carefully take out your Dutch oven. Oh, I forgot to say, okay, to put your dough on, you can either use parchment paper, which is what I've done for years, or I think Alex or Santa, I'm not really sure, got these for me for Christmas. I love them. Anyways, okay, those are your options. You don't have to use one of these fancy things. You can use parchment paper. It's harder, but it's fine. I did it for a long time. Okay, so you take your bread, carefully put it in your Dutch oven, and then take a couple. I have smaller ice, so I do 4. If I have bigger ice, I do 2. Just put it right in the bottom underneath your parchment paper or your whatever you're using. Okay? Put your lid back on. The other thing that I do is I put a cooking sheet on the bottom of my oven so that it doesn't get too crusty on the bottom. It's crusty, burnt. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Okay, once that is all done, very carefully put it back in the oven. You're gonna bake it now at 425, because we turned it down, for 20 minutes with the lid on. When that 20-minute timer goes up, you're gonna take the lid off and cook it for about 40 minutes, depending on your oven settings, how well your oven does. Okay, we'll come back in 20 minutes to take the lid off. Okay, it has been 20 minutes. We're gonna take the lid off. That's all we're gonna do at this point. Oh, okay, can you see it? See, I don't have a really good ear right now. So I may go back and just slice it just a little bit deeper. Not drop my phone in the oven. And just very carefully slice it a little bit more. You see that? Okay, now we're just gonna close the oven and wait for another 40 minutes. Okay, our timer just went off. We're gonna look at our bread. It looks amazing. Ooh. And then always immediately take it out of, that was hot, out of your cast iron, okay? Because if you leave it in your cast iron pan, it's gonna keep cooking the bottom. Now, I know what you're thinking. You want to cut into this bread and eat it immediately because it looks delicious. Don't, okay? Don't. It has to finish cooling, okay? If you cut in it too early, then the inside will still be raw. You need the steam inside the bread to keep cooking the bread. Let it cool till it's completely cooled off, then you can eat it and enjoy it. We'll probably eat this probably for dinner, honestly. Maybe I'll make some soup. We'll see, but don't cut it yet. Okay.